Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true.
Still no word on missing gun salute at cop's funeral. Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson is still awaiting a report as to who was responsible for the failure of the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF to execute a 21-gun salute during the official Thanksgiving service for Corporal Oliver Mullins on Sunday. He has promised swift corrective action against the person or persons. In an email to all staff sent at 8:34 p.m. on Sunday, the Commissioner expressed displeasure at this glaring omission, which he described as letting down the slain officer, his family and the JCF, which he served for 15 years before being killed by gunmen while responding to a call on 3rd Street in Trenchtown, St. Andrew on Thursday, October 20. Head of the Constabulary Communications Unit CCU, Senior Superintendent of Police Stephanie Lindsay, could not provide a deadline for the report ordered by Major General Anderson. There was no firing party, so the Commissioner is asking the person who is responsible for the organization of the funeral to respond for the breakdown. He was not satisfied that a very critical component was not there. We have a protocol, and there are a couple of things that should be done in a prescribed format and order, especially when a member dies in the line of duty, SSP Lindsay told reporters. However, up to press time, the CCU had not identified that person or persons. The 21-gun salute, executed by 7 persons, fired 3 volleys, usually an interval of 1 minute, is considered to be one of the highest tributes to a slain officer or head of a country. As a member of the JCF, who performed honorable, he was deserving of all our best efforts in the participation of his last rites. Unfortunately, we let him down, his family and the JCF down. This failure to adequately execute the standards and procedures as outlined in force policy will not be tolerated, and once the full report is received, swift corrective action will be taken, Commissioner Anderson warned in the email. Major General Anthony Anderson, who attended Corporal Mullins' funeral, pointed out that before departing the funeral site, an investigation was ordered into the absence of the firing party and other activities that were below the expected standard. SSP Lindsay admitted that the firing party was not present for the start of the funeral and could not provide an answer as to whether the members arrived at all, insisting that despite this based on established protocol, the funeral got underway at the stipulated start time. Guard Saint Patterson told him he killed Sikiana, prosecutor. The prosecution told the court on Monday that Russian Patterson had told security guard Rowan Early B. Rose that he killed social media influencer Anika Sikiana Thornton, but Rose's lawyer has called into question the level of his client's culpability after the conversation took place. In arguing his client's case for bail, attorney Martin Thomas told the court that Patterson unsuccessfully tried to enlist Rose's help in covering up the crime. The prosecution disagrees, and Rose, who was granted bail in the sum of $500,000, will go to trial on March 6 of next year. He is charged with misprision of felony. This means he is accused of knowing about the matter but failed to notify the authorities. On Monday, Thomas told the court that Rose had nothing to do with the murder and now wanted nothing to do with Patterson, a man he once considered a friend. The defense attorney was responding to the prosecution which, in laying out its case, referred a caution statement Rose reportedly gave to the police when he was taken into custody. According to the prosecution, on October 20, Patterson called Rose and told him that he had invited a new girl to visit him and that he was with her at a restaurant in Hanover. It is said Rose later stopped at the restaurant and Patterson introduced Towson as his wife. Rose spent some time at the restaurant before leaving. The court was told that the following day, Rose reportedly noticed that he had missed several calls from Patterson. He returned the calls and Patterson told him to meet him at a guest house near the Hanover-St. James border. He told Mr. Rose that he had killed her and dumped her body down the road and that while Mr. Rose was going to work, he should look out if he saw signs of a police crime scene. Mr. Rose, with information, went on his way to work, said the prosecutor. But Rose's attorney painted a different picture. When this person, Mr. Patterson, said what he said to Mr. Rose, he immediately hissed his teeth and said, "My youth, you know what? Me I got me work." On his way to work, Mr. Patterson kept calling Rose until he eventually answered his phone. Patterson asked him a question and he proceeded on his way, stated Thomas. The prosecution is contending that after Rose was made aware of Towson's murder, he failed to report to the police that a felony had been committed, which gave rise to the charge of misprision of a felony. According to Rose's attorney, his client reportedly told investigators that it was shortly after arriving at work that he heard on the news a 1,000 body had been found. On Monday, in granting Rose's bail, Justice Andrea Thomas instructed him not to communicate with Patterson, to report to the Lucy police station in Hanover 3 times per week, and to surrender his travel documents. On October 21, Townsend's scantily clad body was retrieved from the sea in Reading between St. James and Hanover. Announcing the arrest of Patterson and Rose, the police said she had been strangled. Patterson, who is facing a murder charge, returned to court for a bail hearing on December 15. Opposition holds firm in its stance that SOEs are not needed. Despite criticism from some sectors of the society for not supporting the extension of the state of emergency in 7 parishes, the opposition is holding firm to its stance that the SOEs are not needed. Opposition spokesman on national security Peter Bunting said the SOEs have not effectively addressed the issue of murders and crime across the country. Mr. Bunting further pointed out that the ruling Jamaica Labour Party does not need the opposition support to contain the security measure. Mr. Bunting added that there is a lack of adequate personnel to man checkpoints in the St. James, Clarendon and corporate era SOEs.
They have only an interest in finding an excuse to blame the opposition. If they so believe in this thing, and if they're unconcerned with the constitutionality of it, then just keep declaring your 14-day declarations. You don't have to come to an extension. Why is the extension so important? So you can have an excuse to blame the opposition for your own failures. No, we're not going to be complicit in giving Andrew Holness and Horace Chan an excuse for their failure to make the people of Jamaica safe and secure over the last 7 years that they've been in office, as they promised in the 2015-2016 campaign. You see more barriers than you actually see personnel. Sometimes you see the barrier as if the barrier alone is the checkpoint, because when you look around, you don't see it. When I'm sitting in traffic for hours sometimes to try and get through one of the checkpoints, and I reach the checkpoint, I pause, and I said, do you think this is achieving anything? And in every single case, whether police or military, they say, we know this is foolishness. And that is demotivating and demoralizing the police when they know that there are much more basic things they're doing without. The young police that came out at Twickenham Park a month or two ago, they're out there in some tough communities without bulletproof vests. They were issued one uniform. There are many police who have to be using trust bus to turn themselves out in a professional manner. This is at a time when the Ministry of National Security has more money than ever before in history.
7,000 tourism workers contributing to pension scheme. Some 7,000 employees are now contributing to the tourism workers pension scheme. The government launched the scheme in January 2020 to benefit hotel workers as well as people employed in related industries such as craft vendors, tour operators, red cap porters, contract carriers, operators, and workers at attractions. It provided $1 billion in seed funds so immediate benefits could occur to the quality pensioners who have met the vested period of 5 years. In an interview with reporters, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett said the hope was to have 20,000 contributors before the end of the year. With about 19,000 workers in the process of registering for the scheme, Mr. Bartlett expressed confidence that the target would be met. But he noted that even if the government does not reach the 20,000 target by the end of the year, the scheme would still exceed its revenue target, considering it has already earned more than $300 million in funds from members. That is on top of $1 billion that the government provided to enable pensioners who are 59 years now and only have 5 or 6 years to contribute. When they finish that, they'll still be able to get the pension the same size as though they were contributing from that they were 18 or 20, Mr. Bartlett explained.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification